Hello. I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl because I think you Americans have entirely the wrong idea about the recent controversy regarding the performance of Lo and Shakira. For those of us over here who are not aware of the storm of protest and threats never to watch football again, Lo and Shakira were the entertainers who strutted their stuff at half time in this year's Super Bowl in the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, wherein two teams, each of 11 rather oversized examples of very fit American masculinity, suited up like medieval knights, run headlong into each other in pursuit of or possession of what we in the United Kingdom refer to as a rugby ball. And this year they were doing that in front of 62,000 spectators in the stadium and about 3 million, as I understand it, on various broadcast media. It's a competition between the two top remaining teams after a whole season of playoffs, and it's a colossal event of great cultural significance throughout America, apparently, and at which more food is eaten than at any other event in the entire United States except for Thanksgiving. But back to the sport. And please spare a thought for the poor footballers standing all unprepared under the tsunami of criticism which has hit this year's celebration of the chasing of the ball. Those guys have been fighting their way through 17 weeks of keeping fit, concentrating their minds, setting aside family life and buckling down to the serious business of throwing that rugby ball from one end of a field to another. And the Super Bowl is the culmination of all their hard work. It's a culmination not only of hard work, but application, concentration, sacrifice. The injuries, the early nights, the worries, the constant pressure to be the best, not only for their own self-respect, but for their financial future, their families, and all the people who depend on them, like managers, trainers, coaches, sponsors. And then come the big day, those guys play their little hearts out. And then they discover that the only thing people were talking about around the water cooler and the school gates the next day was the halftime show, in which quite a few ladies and some gentlemen vigorously gyrated in various states of undress. Yes, it seems that this celebration of American masculinity and sporting prowess is of late starting to be overshadowed by issues surrounding the entertainers. Last year, for instance, I hear that Rihanna was invited to do the gig, and she refused. So they had to get someone in sharpish to stand in for her. This year, no doubt hedging their bets, they invited two. And what do you know? They both turned up like overbooked passengers on a cheap flight. And I have to say, I was shocked. Now, I don't watch the Super Bowl, but having heard that this year it got the reputation of being the least suitable for family entertainment ever, well, I had to take a look. So, speaking as an innocent and as a Brit, and also as someone who doesn't watch much sport at all, if it doesn't involve horses, I shall let you have my opinion on the show. And I have to tell you Americans, you have the wrong idea. It seems to me that the whole thing had to do not with the Super Bowl or half-time entertainment, but with the state of the American health service, or lack thereof. It was obvious that those two women who came out onto the stage were making a protest about the lack of provision for women's health in the American system. The first clue is when Shakira sticks her tongue out. Isn't that what you always do when you see a doctor? And then, surrounded by women with their legs in the air, obviously other gynecological patients awaiting their turn, she reclines to await medical attention. And what do you know? Here he is, the doctor, dressed in enough sparkle to make sure you get the message that American doctors are pretty well overpaid. After that, J-Lo slides into view, wearing a costume, well, designed by Fredericks of Hollywood. A girl has to economise somewhere, I suppose, and she is definitely prepping herself for a gynecological examination. But, and this is the worst part, there is no doctor. Obviously, Jennifer Lopez doesn't make as much money as Shakira does, and so she has to resort to sneaky tactics. Now, we've all heard of various cases where someone has uploaded a video or a picture onto Instagram or Facebook or somewhere like that, and some complete stranger with medical qualifications of some sort has contacted them with a helpful diagnosis of an illness the existence of which the victim had been hitherto completely unaware. So it seems that J-Lo is hoping for similar free advice and is positioning herself in such a way that some medically qualified member of the audience will be able to diagnose anything from a chub-rub rash at the top of her thighs all the way up to uterine fibroids. Shame on you, you Americans, that such a well-respected entertainer is forced to get a cheap outfit from Fredericks and go to such lengths just to get herself seen by a medical practitioner. And finally, you know, most of my life, I always thought showing your bottom to someone was an insult. Although maybe I'm being a little tough on her. Perhaps she thinks she might also have hemorrhoids. If you want to donate or contact, the information will be rolling over the Graniopteryx as I speak. Please like, subscribe and share because it does help with the algorithm. If you visit my channel on YouTube and one day discover that I've disappeared without warning, you'll still find me on BitChute or Minds. Just go to either of those platforms and do a search for Graniopteryx. If you're already watching this on BitChute or Minds, good for you. Meanwhile, if you're watching this on YouTube, remember that you must keep checking the subscribe and bell icons because occasionally they reset. Till next time.